Hello and warm welcome to join us for this edition of AN English News, and I am Abdullah Mohammadi. President Hamid Karzai has strongly denounced burning of Holy Quran by U.S. military personnel in Bagram Air Base while asking Washington to punish the perpetrators of the crime. Speaking in a press conference in Kabul, Mr. Karzai regretted the killings of two U.S. advisors by an Afghan officer in the Interior Ministry while saying that it was not clear who had been behind the attack. He asked all Afghans to exercise restraint and avoid demonstrations that cause violence and promised to follow the case with U.S. President Barack Obama next week to bring the desecrators to justice. The top U.S. commander in Afghanistan on Saturday recalled all NATO personnel working in Afghan ministries in Kabul, a bold and potentially divisive response to the killing of two American service members by an Afghan security official in the Interior Ministry earlier in the day. General John Allen's directive comes 5 days after U.S. military personnel burned a pile of Holy Qurans at its largest military base in Afghanistan, an apparently inadvertent act that set off violent protests across the country. More than 30 Afghans have died in those demonstrations, and 4 NATO soldiers have been killed by men wearing Afghan security uniforms since last week. A U.S. drone crashed on Saturday in North Waziristan near the Afghan border, Pakistan intelligence officials said, while Taliban militants said they had shot it down. Taliban militants led by Hafiz Gul Bahadur said they had collected wreckage of the destroyed drone and would provide its pictures to the media soon. The drone today in Makikhil was flying at low altitude and our fighters fired at and shot it down. A local commander of the Taliban said, "We have trained people for such type of job," but U.S. officials in Washington denied the Taliban had shot down the drone and declined further comment. Pakistani authorities on Saturday night demolished the 3-story house in Abbottabad where Osama bin Laden lived for years and died last May during a raid by U.S. Navy SEALs in an apparent bid to stop it becoming a tourist site or shrine for Al-Qaeda supporters. By deciding to demolish it, Pakistani authorities have followed a course taken by Germany, which for years did not mark Adolf Hitler's bunker after his death to avoid it attracting neo-Nazis. Many U.S. officials believe that Pakistan leaders knew about the reclusive Al-Qaeda leader living near the country's military academy for years, but Islamabad has rejected the idea. Syrian voters arrived early at polling centers on Sunday to take part in a referendum on the country's new constitution. Bassam Hadid, chief of one polling center in the capital, said turnout was better than expected. The new constitution would drop an article making Assad's Ba'ath Party the leader of state and society, allowing for political pluralism, and enact a presidential limit of 2 7-year terms. Activists leading the revolt against 4 decades of Bashar al-Assad family rule have called for a boycott. The Syrian government kept up its onslaught on homes and other towns with at least 100 killed, according to human rights campaigners on Sunday. Egypt's Freedom and Justice Party, the political arm of the Muslim Brotherhood, won 106 seats or 59% in the Shura Council or Upper House of Parliament elections, the High Judicial Elections Commission announced on Saturday. The Freedom and Justice Party gained a majority over the Salafist Noor Party, the other major Islamic party in Egypt, by a margin of 60 seats, becoming Egypt's first party to win both the Shura Council and People's Assembly elections. The Shura Council consists of 270 members, with 180 elected and 90 appointed by the president-elect. A suicide bombing claimed by Al-Qaeda killed at least 26 people outside a presidential palace in southern Yemen on Saturday, hours after the newly elected president was sworn in, and said the battle against the militants was a national duty. A car was driven at the gates of the building in the port city of Makalla, Yemen's fourth largest city, far from the capital Sana'a, where Abdurrabbu Mansur Hadi was sworn in. Dozens were injured. The governor of Hadramaut province said 20 of the dead were soldiers, and an investigation was underway to identify the suicide bomber. Thousands of demonstrators rallied in Malaysia's east coast state of Pahang on Sunday, protesting the government's decision to let an Australian mining firm Lynas Corp to operate its rare earth processor. The rally, led by environmental activists and the opposition, attracted around 5,000 people wearing green T-shirts and chanting slogans demanding the government to stop the firm from operating its $200 million plan. Malaysians and politicians leading the green rally say they fear radioactive waste from the Lynas plant could contaminate the environment and lead to illness. And that's all for now. Thanks for being with us.